Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy. Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, King053, Mr. Easy Imali Nengi, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I'm just sharing my road trip, my experience, traveling through 4 provinces in South Africa in one day, from Kimberley to Mpumalanga in Kwamhlwanga. So obviously, when you start from Kimberley, you'll be driving through the Northern Cape and then driving through the Northwest, throughout the Northwest from Christiana up to Potchefstroom. And then you'll be driving into Johannesburg. And then from Lenasia up to Pretoria. And then you'll be driving into Mpumalanga. So I drove 4 provinces at the same time. I'll try and just share a little bit of that experience with you guys because I enjoy long drives. I don't know why. Somebody really needs to bless me with a nice car, a big car, because I'm driving a small car. I need a car, a Pezul, I'm told, to drive around. But as a Pan-Africanist, I was, in light of the elections coming in the 29th of May, I looked at things in a different light, and passing from city to city, we can't even call it cities, small towns, little towns, from one town to another, looking at the distance between the towns, between Kimberley and Warrington is like 80 k's. There's absolutely nothing in between. Then you go from Warrington to Christiana, you're looking at something like about 50 k's, 40 k's. And then from there, you're looking at Blomhof. Blomhof is like 60 k's, and you're driving all the way. So I was looking at the streets as with a Pan-Africanist eye, the roads and everything. And I thought to myself, you know what? The national roads of South Africa are probably the best in the African continent. Are probably the best. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have the longest network rail of road in Africa. If not, I believe we are number 2. But I think we are number 1. I think number 2 is Egypt or something like that. But somewhere there. And I'm telling you, Africans, we are very blessed in South Africa. Our roads are, for me, in a good condition. The national roads. I'm not talking about the road that goes to your house. I'm talking about the main roads, because from Kimberley to Johannesburg, I drive on the N12. So that's a national road. And from the N12, I then transit to the N1. And from the N1, I'll go to the Mloto Road. They call it the R55, 50 something, I don't know. But I'll keep on playing the video so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And infrastructure-wise, the towns between Northern Cape and because I've been driving this road since 2007, so I know the difference between development and just small changes here and there. And I can tell you that there hasn't been much changes in Northern Cape and in Northwest. Very little changes. Yes, there has been a shopping complex built here and there. There's been some RDPs built here and there. But when you look at the town, it almost looks the same as it did like 20 years ago. That is what is hurting me. There isn't serious development. I mean, when we think about how Dubai started from scratch and in 20 years, how far they managed to build. When you've got a good leader in the leadership position, you can go far. I mean, Dubai does not have more oil than Nigeria. Nigeria's got more oil than Dubai, but look how far Dubai has came compared to Nigeria in the short period of time. So I think we as in Africa, we lacking leadership that's got vision. You can't ask a 70-year-old, a 80-year-old, and even in some cases in Africa, a 90-year-old to have a vision for their country. It is not possible for them to have a vision for their country. They are just going to, think about eating and pocketing and looting and corruption. That's all they're going to think about. We need in Africa young leaders that are going to dare to do great things: infrastructure, architecture, engineering, technology. Everything in those along those lines, so African young boys, young ladies can tackle this thing. We need youth. I was listening on the way to SAFM. I was listening to different political parties speaking, and I said most of these political parties lack youth structures, and without youth structures and proper youth structures, these political parties will go nowhere. The Rise Mzansi will go nowhere. They're gonna die quickly, even though they are fairly young but their youth structure is not strong. You've got the PA Patriotic Alliance. They're gonna go nowhere because of no strong youth structure. You've got the economical freedom liberators, whatever they call it or call them. No youth structure, led by a young man, but still no youth structure. So the same thing with the ANC. The reason the ANC has been falling the way it's been falling is because of their youth structure has become weak since they fired and expelled Julius Malema. So all in all, man, I can tell you guys, once I got to the beautiful province of Gauteng, I could see a major difference in terms of infrastructure development. In Gauteng, there's literally no space, little to no space for proper development. But where there is land in Gauteng, I promise you, you see an empty piece of land, you will not pass 5 years until there's something built in that land. So there's developments everywhere, factories popping out here, new suburbs popping out there, and some of us, we just have to be grateful for what we have here in South Africa, because other African countries simply don't have it. Our infrastructure development, especially when we speak about Gauteng, which is the richest province in the whole of Africa, especially Joburg, when we talk about the most millionaires and the most billionaires is in Gauteng. So we are talking about a very rich piece of land when we are speaking about Gauteng. On the contrary, it will also have the poorest of the poorest people there living there, the most unequal society in the whole of the world is in Gauteng and Cape Town. So for me, when I got into Gauteng, I saw beautiful infrastructure development. I saw a lot of beautiful, it's different when you come from Northern Cape. When you come from Northern Cape and you get into Gauteng, it's like Northern Cape is in 1860 and Gauteng is in 2024. That's how different it is. That's how different. And I come from the capital city of Northern Cape. I'm not coming from somewhere in Northern Cape in the rurals. I come from Kimberley, the first city in South Africa to have electricity, to have trains and all. The first city in South Africa to have electricity. So that should tell you how little developed Northern Cape is, when the first city in the whole of South Africa to have electricity. But when you look at each and every province, the 9 provinces, Kimberley is the smallest capital city of a province. It's the smallest in population, smallest in growth, development, in everything. In Northern Cape, it's coming almost last every time. We're only competing with Eastern Cape and Limpopo, but I don't know what the ANC is doing in those 2 provinces. Get past Gauteng, you get into Mpumalanga, and then the scenery just changes just like that. It's all of a sudden green. It's all of a sudden mountains. It's all of a sudden beautiful land. And guys, I come from Kwamhlwanga. Kwamhlwanga is where I was born, is where I was raised. This is in Kwandebele. So I'm home right now, right where I'm sitting right now. I'm home. I grew up in this house. And when I say Kwamhlwanga is probably one of the most beautiful township in South Africa, I'm not exaggerating. This new building suburbs in villages is a new thing in South Africa. Kwamhlwanga has always been like that. Like since I grow up, Kwamhlwanga has always been like that. It's proper. The roads are proper. Stadiums, everything is proper. Yes, it's decaying a little bit from the day I grew up, and now some tennis courts and some play areas are no longer there. Like any other township in South Africa. But when we talk about infrastructure of the houses in Kwamhlwanga, the development is crazy. It's literally a suburb in any town. You can take Kwamhlwanga and put it in any town. It will be a beautiful suburb. So getting here, getting the fresh air of Mpumalanga in my lungs, I really enjoyed it. The long drive, it's about 8 to 9 hours of driving. Very pleasant drive. I'm telling you, driving slowly, 130, 140 kilometers an hour. Yeah, they're gonna arrest me for saying that, but not in Gauteng. In Gauteng, you can't do that. Well, even though they were doing that in the highways, they were flying past me. But in Gauteng, we keep it at 120. But Northern Cape and Northwest, the roads are just open. When you can't drive 120, you'll feel like you are not moving. So I want to say this, my Pan-African brothers and sisters. In South Africa, what we need is a visionary leadership. That's what we need. And not only in South Africa, actually. In Africa, the potential is there. The land is there. But the leadership is simply not there in South Africa. We don't have leaders that want to build state-of-the-art schools, state-of-the-art clinics, state-of-the-art libraries, state-of-the-art multi-purpose centers, state-of-the-art whatever. They just want to build basic education. They want to build everything is basic in South Africa that the government is doing. It's only the private sector and private people that are going overboard and building architectural marvels to look at. You don't know what to say when you look at the building. It's so beautiful from the ground to the roofing and everything. But in South Africa, unfortunately, we don't have the leaders. But you guys tell me what you think about this nice trip ahead. Do you guys drive so long also for your Easter weekend? What will you be doing? Forget about Easter and Pan-Africanism. Easter is a made-up nonsense. Don't worry about that. But because there is Easter, just tell me, what is it that you will be doing in this Easter weekend? Will you be with your family? Will you be just be working? It's a normal weekend for you, or will you be just chilling with the friends at the park, over some braai and some drinks? Or do you have a Pan-Africanist program that you are doing? Are you going to be talking to your family like we discussed on the live yesterday, when we talked about, as Pan-Africanists, we need to take the responsibility of speaking to our families and saying to our families, we need to start identifying the children in our families that are special. We need to start investing in those children so that the talent does not get lost in our family. We need to practice the muscle of saving in our family. So it's gonna go crazy, ladies and gentlemen. You need to set the example. It starts with you as a Pan-Africanist. Speak about Pan-Africanism. Speak about African unity. Speak about those type of things so that your family can know where you are standing and mentally where you are, so that if there is people that can join our Pan-Africanist movement, then we can go. Remember, everyone is a Pan-Africanist, but at different levels. You find a Pan-Africanist who only is a Pan-Africanist with level 1. Then you've got level 10, level 100, and whatever. Be patient when teaching other people about Pan-Africanism. Nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Let's teach each other properly and be patient about converting people into Pan-Africanism. It's a slow process. Capitalism and colonization has worked the minds of our people. So it's going to take time for some of them to turn around and come back to their black consciousness. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. Really enjoyed the long drive with my family to Mpumalanga. Until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. And after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism. I salute you.